right, Nina, I believe we are live. Let's do
Well,
this.
happy Thursday, everyone. If you are tuning in, whether it's Facebook or on LinkedIn or now on YouTube, it's good to see you. Every week we go live. This is Jonathan Ploransky and Nina Brennan, co-founders of Scaling Lean. But every week we go live sharing wins, losses, successes, and failures that we've seen in the online space. We have a really good topic for you today. So this is going to be part of our mini course that we're releasing. It's going to be all about the conversion blueprint. So if you are here, all I want you to do is drop a hashtag live. If you're catching the replay, hashtag replay. With that being said, JP, we could dive right in.
Got a barn burner this week. If you guys missed last week's interview with Devin Butler, we covered an amazing strategy to really help you grow your community, whether that's in person, hosting a live event, or virtually with school or Facebook. Devin's an amazing character. He's generated over $500,000 fully low ticket with over 6,000 members in Arizona. So get back to that one if you missed it. It's also on YouTube and in the group. So today, Nina, awesome topic. I'm super excited to go into this because this is really the meat and potatoes of what we do, right? Building email nurturing campaigns and text campaigns to keep our leads engaged and keeping those calls coming through on autopilot and deals closing on autopilot based on just showcasing our story, our message, our testimonials, how we can help solve problems for the people that we are really purposely driven to connect with, right? So let's hop in. I'm super pumped. Let's do this.
So the past couple of weeks, we have been going live, sharing our ultimate lead magnet guide for small business owners. And everything that we're doing is playing into this ultimate lead magnet guide. It's really, we're starting with the ultimate lead magnet guide. Then it's landing pages, 10 elements to the landing pages that you need to convert. Then it's a 35-day opt-in sequence. And then it's also the call extraction system. So what we're doing is we're releasing a series of videos that's really a combination of everything that we've been doing to get people from social media onto calls and calls turning into clients. So I just wanted to break that down and really just open that up of like madness, or there's a reason behind all the madness that we've been putting out recently. But today we wanted to talk about the conversion blueprint, which is one of the pieces of 4 stages that we're talking about. And the conversion blueprint is really the opt-in sequence behind the lead magnet. It's a 35-day opt-in sequence that turns somebody who's coming from social media or from ads into a nurtured lead who understands who you are, what you do, why you do it, the proof of concept behind everything that you're doing, and turns them into an appointment and that appointment into a client. So, well-winded, JP. So we could just hop in from there.
Absolutely. So, as part of this mini course that's coming out in the next few weeks here, we talked already in past live events about how to attract leads with lead magnets, right? Super important to really turn your followers into deeper levels of awareness so they get to know what you're doing. Then we talked about actually structuring your opt-in page and how to get your conversions up and understand how to turn a 20% opt-in page minimum to a 30, 40, and even 50% opt-in page. So if you missed those past lives, let us know, drop a comment below. We can hook you up with all that. So now this is now phase 3, where we're moving into the automated opt-in sequence that people will go through in that next level of awareness, right? So now that they've raised their hand for the lead magnet, they've given you their information. Now we're going to take them down a journey of storytelling, testimonials, and value-driven content to really so they understand more about what we do. So the best place for me to start, Nina, is probably that first email, right? So the first thing we really want to do is usually connect them to the product or thing that they opted in for and just create a little bit more awareness around that. So why don't you go deeper into that first piece there, Nina?
Yeah, before we get into the actual sequencing, I want to talk a little bit about what we focus on here at Scaling Lead and why we built out such an extensive lead magnet opt-in sequence. So we are talking about today a 35-day opt-in sequence. And the whole idea here behind Scaling Lean is we focus on 45% of the leads that a lot of people miss out on. So our rule or our theory that we follow is 5% of leads that are coming into the ecosystem are leads that are going to buy right away or show intent to buy right away. Then you have 45% of leads that are sitting in the ecosystem that have an intention to buy, but they don't buy right away because they need to trust or they need more proof of concept or they need to be nurtured more. And then 50% of leads are people that are just never going to buy and you shouldn't even put energy onto them. And the reason that we're doing this email sequence and everything that we're talking about is to focus on the 45% of people in the follow-up process. So I just want to clear that up because so many times people are asking for more leads, more leads, more leads, but the answer isn't always more leads. It's to nurture the leads that you do generate, whether it is from paid advertising or from social media, etc. So let's talk a little bit about how we break down this, I guess, 35-day email sequence. There's 3 phases to it before we hop into the first email. Phase 1 is awareness and getting them on board of like, who you are. The second phase is consideration, is pushing them down the funnel of like, okay, now they know who you are. You're going to showcase more so proof of concept of why they should work with you. And then phase 3 is making the decision of putting that urgency and pressure on them to move, make the decision. I was gonna say, like, shit or get off the bucket, but it's like, that's exactly what it is. So now we could go a little bit into, like, first week of how we structure this awareness space, JP, of email number 1 through email number 7 and what we're doing with this daily email drip for the first week.
Yeah, for sure. And there's probably no better way to do this, Nina, than to visualize this, right? We did send out a newsletter a few weeks back outlining this entire process. So why don't I pop this open real quick and we can take a look just to give someone a little bit better of an understanding at visualized view of this, right? Because I know for me, when I'm learning or understanding new ideas and things like that, I'd like to visualize what it is, right? So as you can see here on the screen, days 1 through 7 are the value stack emails, and what we're going to focus on is sending these emails out every single day, right? So during day one, again, I kind of a little deep there before, but we're going to start with welcoming them into our world and delivering whatever they opted in for, whether that's a VSL, whether that's a lead magnet guide, whether that's a mini course, whatever that thing is, we're going to get them right to that thing again immediately, right away. So then they can start consuming and understanding more deeper levels of the guide and the thing they opted in for, right? It's really that simple. It doesn't have to be that complicated. We have loads of swipe files and we'll provide examples. If just drop a comment opt-in sequence and we can drop you over a template of all this information to get you going on your version one, right? So then day two is really going to be based around continuing that introduction and then offering them a quick win in some way based on the guide. So think of the guide or thing that they opted in for as this grand 30,000 foot view. And then the quick win is going to be a micro portion of what that guide is. So maybe they didn't read or watch the course. Take a little piece of whatever you gave them, whatever they opted in for, and get them a quick win from a little portion of what they opted in for, right? So they don't have to go digging through the guide or watching a 5 minute video. Just give them the quick win right away. Do you have anything to put on top of that before we move on?
Really what the quick win, you're just telling your story these first 7 days, and I think that's something that's super crucial to include here. A couple of weeks ago, I know that you put out a great newsletter about storytelling in opt-in sequences or just storytelling in general. Day 1 through 7 is you're selling through your story, and I just wanna put that there as, like, quick win isn't just, like, case study or testimonial that's just, like, aggressively in their face, but it's sharing your story and how you came up with this product, service, solution, etcetera.
Absolutely. Love that you brought in storytelling. That was where I was going next with a number three, right? We're going to want to build a story, backstory, and authority through our transformation. So, where was it that we started? And it needs to be super hyper targeted on what they opted in for and bring it relevance into what they're doing, right? We'll have additional training on storytelling in the coming weeks. We could spend 3 hours on a call right now talking about storytelling, but it's going to be bridging the gap of the backstory and leading them into reasons why they really opted in and the reason why you're doing what you're doing and why they should be doing it or considering doing it, right? Which will then lead them into day four, which is deeper in education and value and providing proof of concept. So now you're bringing day three is more about me and my journey. Day four is more about I brought this to another person and this is what they did with it, right? So now you're showcasing the transformation and what it did for other people. And then day five, this is all kind in hand. You're sharing success stories and open loop teasers, kind of same thing, but it's just framed in a different way to just showcase the story in different ways, right? So it's a multifaceted story. Kind of think of it like a Jerry Seinfeld TV show or your favorite Netflix series, how it's linking together the story and keeping you intrigued and you're educating you in what's going on in the plot.
Yeah. And with the open loop teaser, the reason that we put teasers instead of hard call to actions in these emails, you want to create the call to action to loop them back to more valuable assets rather than making an offer. Because again, if these people are cold leads, whether they are coming from social media or they are coming from paid advertising, they might not trust you yet. So we're going to just say, like, oh, an offer is coming, or look out for an email tomorrow, because we don't want to forcefully sell if they're not ready. And this is goes hand in hand with like the right offer to the right people at the right time. We're just warming them up and, like, getting them ready for that offer drop.
Absolutely love that. And then day six, you're now creating urgency and ultimately making an offer to go deeper and into the transformation and get a understanding at a higher level, right? So that could be book a call, it could be buy something, a low ticket something that goes into a higher level of education, right? So that's going to be the urgency that you're creating there. And then you're going to reveal the secret and again take the next step, right? So those are kind of hand in hand as well. Nina, do you have anything to put on that?
A lot of people do buy within the first week, or they take the next step, whether you are providing more free value, but they're really just getting acclimated to your ecosystem that you've built, whether it is like bust email marketing sequence like putting here, different lead magnet sequences or things like that. For example, us, we have our free 4 module course that we put out. We have our Facebook community, and we can track where people are navigating through our ecosystem to get nurtured. And based on their nurturing, you'll know how to approach the manual touch points that are going to be put in place. I don't want to get too deep into that, but let's talk about phase two consideration, JP.
Absolutely. Before we move on, I just wanted to bring one more topic into this. I know we're talking specifically about email on this live event right now, but when you become more in tune with what's going on inside of your marketing process, these phases should also be being executed inside of the DMs, right? And at all levels, whether that's a networking event, right? Be in tune with who you're speaking with and how you're communicating with them in the different phases of awareness that you're meeting and introducing things to people, right? Because that's ultimately what's going to move them down the pipeline to the different levels, right? So I know we're talking specifically about email, but as you become an expert and you become a master of your craft, you're going to want to implement these phases no matter what you're doing, whether that's on a sales call, whether that's in the DMs, whether that's in your content, right? You're going to want to be doing this at all levels. All right. So now we've talked about phase one. Let's move on to phase two, which is consideration, right? So maybe they didn't take action in the first 7 days, right? Totally normal. Only 5% of people do. So the next thing we're going to want to do is we're going to move them down further. And the best way to do that is, again, we're going to show more proof, we're going to share value, and we're going to address objections based on the things that they're going through or could potentially be objecting about in their minds of why they're not buying or why they're not taking action. So, you take the reins here and showcase a little bit about the consideration phase.
So think about it first. The first 7 days, you're inviting them to take the next step. And if they have not, they're not ready for the pitch. So instead of pitching, focus on educating and providing more value in this next week, week and a half, depending on how you're breaking it down for your own opt-in sequence. So how to think about their problem differently is something that you want them to open their minds to. Number two is, what common mistakes are they trying to avoid in order to get to the transformation or the solution that they're looking for? And why most solutions don't work and how yours is different than, I guess, the competition out there, we can say. So we do this every other day. So the first 7 days, we really just allow them with 7 days of information, getting to know us, inviting them into the ecosystem, getting them through different automated sequences. But now we're in day 8 through 15 for the trust builder. And day 8 is just frequently asked questions. So if you've taken sales calls before, or if you've been inside the DMs, I'm sure there's questions that your prospects have asked you, or even your clients that came through the door of how to do XYZ. You want to include that in day 8 email. What it's like working with you, great one to include. Or how is your program different? As I said before, a couple of ways that you have helped clients individually that you got the results. Day 10, we're going to share a personal story and lesson learned. So we really want to continue with the storytelling, and people aren't they don't know you just because you sent 7 emails on the first week, right? So you still want them to get to know who you are, what you're selling, why you're selling it, how you came up to this hero's journey that we are selling through the buyer's journey. Day 12 is a valuable intensive with training. So whether you're doing a YouTube video or a live training here on Facebook, like what we're doing right here, or an article, so you write blogs or newsletters, etc., have something of tangible value that they can take and use to get a quick win or a quick result. Because that will build so much trust if you are able to give them a lead magnet or a value training that they could go and execute and get the result from that execution. It's instant trust right there. And day 14 is a little push of urgency and a reminder. So you already made the offer in day 7, day 8, give or take, whenever you're giving out the email. Loop them back to that teaser that you gave. And you can make this harder call to action, or you could do it in a very light way of open seats, take the next step and learn a little bit more.
Absolutely. Love how you broke that down, Nina. One I want to just bring to the forefront here is this: do this every other day, right? One thing we're doing here is we're not just pounding people with emails, right? One thing you might be getting out of this is very strategic, right? And a lot of people say email doesn't work. It does, as long as you have a strategy behind what you're doing and you're being very intentional about the things that you're doing and when you're doing them, right? That's what's going to enhance the open rate, the click rates, and all the things to keep your delivery up and all the people moving through your sales pipeline, asking questions, replying to what you're doing, right? That's when you're going to know that you're doing this the right way, right? So absolutely love how you broke that down. I don't really think I have anything other than that little awareness piece that I put there, Nina. So I guess we can move on now to phase 3, right? Which is making the decision, right? So now what we're going to do in phase 3, they're ultimately potentially on the edge of making a decision to take the book the call or buy the low ticket thing, right? So we're going to want to make sure that they have an opportunity to make that decision. So we're going to want to have a high impact touch point, making a text message, which is personalized, not automated, or sending out a personalized DM with understanding where they are at in that buyer's journey. So then we can see, is this going to be a good fit or is it not going to be a fit? And that's where a lot of people drop the ball. And the 45% is they're not tracking their people. They're just letting them quote unquote run wild and not understanding where they are. And this is where I believe you make the biggest impact is between days 15 and 35, because most people just forget about the people, right? So if you can set yourself apart from the others and read through your read through your comments on LinkedIn, pull up the person's name, see what they said to you, or pull up their DMs and see how the conversation went, or check your email and see who replied and said one thing. And if you can make something very personalized for that person, that's going to set you apart from all your competition. That's going to move that person onto a sales call and give you the opportunity to make them an offer.
I really love how you brought up the 45% here because this is a crucial pivotal point of deciphering between the 50% of they're never going to buy, they're not interested, they're never going to look at your content again, and the 45% that could be in the ecosystem for 1 week, 2 months, 2 years, etc., and will eventually buy. Like anyone who's watching this live or anyone who's watching this replay, have you ever followed somebody for about a year and then decided eventually to buy their product service, whether it's low ticket or high ticket? Whether it doesn't even have to be a product or service, it could literally or like a digital product or service. It could be like a t-shirt or shoes or something like that that are in the pipeline that you're getting retargeted for. This is crucial because if they keep sending emails, they keep sending text messages, they keep nurturing their prospects or even retargeting with ads, this is where a no or I forgot about you turns into a yes. I just wanted to bring that up is like this is that pivotal point between the two of leads lose who you are, they never come back to you, or they stay in the pipeline and they are really nurtured.
Absolutely love that. So why don't we dive deep into a little bit deeper of an understanding of what these emails will look like. But before that, we do have a call extraction system guide. Ultimately, this will walk you through how to segment your CRM, the exact setting script that we use for text and email, exact voicemail we leave, the exact script that we use when we reach out and try to get people onto phones. If you want that, drop a hashtag call extraction system and we'll send that over to you. Super impactful. We've booked calls and I can't even remember the records, honestly, Nina. At this point, it's been pretty insane the amount of impact that extraction system guide has had for our clients and our business, right? So now that we've got that out of the way, so day 15 through 35, what you're going to see here is we're going to basically bounce back between objection handling and myth debunking and testimonial emails, right? So again, you can see there's a pretty big through line here of handling objections and showing proof, right? So what is it that's not making them take action? The 5 biggest things. You should have a list of those things and continuously update it based on feedback you're generating. And then also showcasing your client testimonials. And these don't have to always be my client went from $0 to $100,000 in 3 days. It can be little micro testimonials based on small things. They implemented my call strategy and booked 5 calls in 48 hours, right? It's a huge thing that someone might be struggling with. Instead of, they might not want to go from 0 to 100K. They might just want to get 5 sales calls in the next week, right? So showcasing different case studies and different testimonials based on different levels of people. And what's also important, I know we're going to do a whole live on testimonials and case studies as well. We want to diversify those testimonials, right? We don't want to just have males between 20 and 25 and say we have females and males inside of our program ranging from 20 to 50, right? If you do have males between 20 and 30, by all means, just hammer that one niche. But oftentimes what we learned in our journey is we were just one person avatar, or we didn't have enough diversification in testimonials that we were showcasing properly, right? So it's important to diversify those. So ultimately, once we get down to day 31 and 35, again, these are every 3 days now, every twice per week. So you're bouncing between 3 and 4 days. We're going to basically do a final urgency and hard nudge. So think of this like a promotional email, right? Hey, final day. We don't have to say final day. It can be multiple different things. Hey, we've been reaching out to you over the past 30 days, and we've shown you case studies, testimonial value based on the way we can support you. We have minimal spots left on our calendar this week, and we're really looking forward to seeing how we can support you, whether that's connecting you with a free resource or providing you value based on a bottleneck that you're experiencing right now. And potentially you could even become a client, right? So that's where that final urgency push comes in. And it is important to give them that opportunity, because if they don't get the opportunity, they might not even know it's there. honestly, right? And then the day 35 is just your final check-in, ultimately ending them off per se, just letting them know like, hey, it was great being with you for these past 30 days again. And from now on, this is what you should expect from us, whether that's a newsletter every week, a couple emails a week, a weekly Facebook Live event, whatever that may be. You just want to set that expectation so they're aware. And ultimately, if they wind up unsubscribing at that point, that's not the worst thing, right? They just didn't jive with what you had in place for them, or it wouldn't have been a good fit anyway. So just do that final check-in and ultimately just let them know where you're headed.
I think something to bring up here, JP, the reason that we structure it the way that we do is everything in terms of marketing comes down to numbers and conversion rates. And we have a 35-day opt-in sequence, obviously, because we are trying to nurture people and bring them to a phone call. But the reason that we include manual touch points like the call extraction system is because the average opt-in conversion to phone call is between 1.5 and 7%. And that's on the low side. But a lot of people create lead magnets that don't really have like clear intent or reason to book a call that's like that's going to lead them to the next step to book a call. So this opt-in sequence brings those conversions from 1.5 to 7% upward of 15 to 25%. And that's whether you're doing it yourself, you hire a call setter, and you're tapping into the list of leads that are now not only they have your lead magnet, they're being nurtured, but they're also being called on the back end. It's really a whole ecosystem to increase conversion rates from low interest to people that are actually booking calls coming in because of a lead magnet. And I just wanted to put that there because it is a full system. You could do one piece here and one piece there, but until you have a full system set up, a lead magnet's not going to book you as many calls as you think if you don't have the opt-in behind it. You're not manually touching or manually putting touch points, et cetera, behind everything.
Super valuable point there. I love how you brought that in, Nina. And one thing that came front of mind too is I know you're going in, we're deep in the numbers, right? You know, like we help businesses that earn upwards of $1 million a year, right? And what we found in businesses that are in the 7 to 8 figure range is they're really focusing on data. So oftentimes our minds go to that place. But if you're a brand new entrepreneur and you're in the, let's just say 0 to 50 sprint or 0 to 100K sprint, and you don't know anything about this data, that's all good. We have a social media audit that you can hop on with us, take 15 minutes out of your day, and we'll break down all these metrics for you in 15 minutes. No pitch, just to help you focus on what is the one thing that's resisting, that you're potentially resisting in your sales process. That's the biggest bottleneck right now. So if you do ever want a social media audit, just drop social media audit below. We'll connect for that 15-minute call. We'll let you know where your data is at based on your social medias, your email list size, and all the metrics inside of your business, and give you some tangible action steps to really hit that next level in the next quarter.
Absolutely. I think that sums up everything that we were supposed to talk about today with opt-in. If you guys have any questions, just let us know by dropping them below and then take us out, JP.
Absolutely. Thank you all for joining. Let me check we were doing the screen share there, so I can track the comments. Let me jump in. It looks like appreciate you, Jasper, Julie, Tommy, two others for joining us. Had a barn burner session here. If you have any questions on any of the days of the sequence, right? We went over days 1 through 35, I think it was. If you have any particular questions about any one of those days, just drop the number of the day and what topic it is. And we have loads of swipe files, right? We'll connect you with some swipe files. We can have a quick conversation in the DMs or hop on one of those 15-minute audit calls to really help you dial in, get clarity on whatever questions you have, right? So that being said, Nina, I don't have anything else. This was really productive, and I think this should impact a lot of people's businesses if they're in that 0 to 100K range or even 100K and above, right? So with that being said, we will catch you next week at 11 a.m. MST. We do these every single week in the group. Think we're going to keep them here. We're potentially going to expand them to YouTube and LinkedIn in the coming weeks. So that being said, Nina, I'm good.
All right. Sounds good, everyone. We'll see you next week at 11 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. And I think we'll be talking about testimonials. So see you then.